Thank you all so much for tuning in to Connect. I'm here with Jim Beach, national radio host, best-selling author, and we're going to talk about some random but awesome things today.
Very random, weird collection, isn't it? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
So we're going to talk about Wi-Fi paint, Wi-Fi blocking paint,
Yes.
actually, which I'm the first one on the list to buy. A book that you have coming out about marketing, and another thing I want to buy and read, so thank you. And then Pakistani furniture. So let's dig in.
All right. What do you want to start with?
Let's start with the Wi-Fi blocking paint that you just patented.
Okay. So I have kids just like everyone else, and you and I were talking before we started airing about your 9-year-old and how you were concerned when he was a baby that you didn't even have Wi-Fi in your house.
No.
You had a wired computer, which is so 1980s.
I know.
But all of us are dealing with the same problems, and most parents don't know that Wi-Fi is considered one of the most destructive elements in your home, much worse than the cleaning chemicals and all the stuff we have underneath the sink. As a matter of fact, France has banned Wi-Fi within 100 yards of all of its schools because all of the data indicates that Wi-Fi is one of the most destructive things to a developing brain that there is. So we encountered this problem. We were trying to come up with a solution. And so one of the things I do is I coach high school business plan competitions.
Wow.
And one of the groups was looking for a project, and I was like, well, why don't you do something that solves this problem, the destructive elements of Wi-Fi? So these 5 Indian high school kids, all 14, 15 years old, freshmen and sophomores, got together in their garage and started mixing paint and coming up with different versions that would hopefully block Wi-Fi signals. Well, they did 98 iterations, and the final iteration blocks 95% of Wi-Fi. But it's so precise that your baby monitor will still work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's that precise. I mean, we're not messing around here. This has gotten pretty good. And so we've actually received a patent now, and we've developed not a paint, but a primer, because it's easier to paint over. So we prime the walls, and that room now becomes a bubble of no Wi-Fi. And think about this, the average mom spends $5,200 when they are nesting. Remember all of the sensations that crazy mothers have, and dads every weekend have a chore to do, right? You build the crib, put this together, paint.
Spend way too much on a brand new crib when
Exactly,
just,
all of those things.
Go to a Facebook group and anyway.
Buy one for $100
Right,
used,
yeah.
right? We have one for sale. And so we designed this product to fit that perfect niche, to appeal to the hypersensitive mother, the mother who is very concerned about all of these things. And there's about 9 million pregnancies a year in the United States and Europe. Think of how those babies could be saved, affected, and their lives improved by not having the Wi-Fi signals put into their room. So you simply paint the room, and then you put your yellow or your blue or your pink paint over the top of it, and it becomes a Wi-Fi bubble. So we've competed now in the national and global competitions, and the 5 Indian high school kids came in 3rd in the world from all of the high schoolers in the world for business plan competitions. So it's pretty exciting. Now we're out there actually building the company and trying to sell it to someone like Sherwin-Williams or
Right.
Bayer or somebody like that.
So a few questions. Was this a high school in India?
No, it's actually right here.
So here in Atlanta.
In Atlanta.
Okay.
5 different high schools were represented, mostly up in the Johns Creek, Roswell area.
Okay, cool. And can you share the name of the paint yet?
It's called Bye Bye Wi-Fi.
I love it!
Isn't that
Bye bye
cute?
Wi-Fi.
Yes.
And can we buy it now?
No, you can't.
Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But probably within a couple of months you will be
Okay.
able to. So just check buybuywifi.com.
Okay.
And we'll be able to have fulfillment orders. You can buy as much as you need. And it'll probably cost about $200 for your average nursery.
Okay, super reasonable.
I mean, you're going to spend $5,000. What's another $200? I bet you spent a lot more than that.
Actually, no.
I'm going to ask your husband
I
to
was
find
working.
out the
Yeah, no.
truth.
Yeah, no. I had a radio station salary, and not an on-air talent one. It was more of a,
I understand,
I
sure.
do supplement my income, with side jobs.
Right.
So yeah, we did not spend that much, but Definitely spent more than I needed to. Was definitely sold into the hype of all the things that I needed that in hindsight I didn't really need. But I was scared. I was scared of everything,
That's right.
especially cancer and harmful effects, and everything was BPA free, and the list goes on and on. So I was a sucker. But this is something that, if scientifically proven, that Wi-Fi is harmful to developing brains, it makes sense.
Yeah, everyone that has studied this, the National Institute of Health, Princeton, Harvard, have all come out with studies that say that Wi-Fi is just one of the most destructive things in your home.
For developing
Right.
brains.
Yeah.
Can you touch on some of the harmful effects? Like, I know that's an umbrella statement, but like, how is it affecting developing minds?
It just slows down the development. So
Okay.
I'm not a scientist, and I was telling you before we came on air that I think it's really funny that I have a patent in chemistry now, considering that I got kicked out of high school chemistry because I was such a bad student. I was the world's worst high school chemistry student of all time. So, these are things that I don't understand myself. All I know is that, the doctors, the smart people, tell me that Wi-Fi is bad for the brain, so we tried to figure out a way to block it. It has something to do with blood flow and the amount of oxygen that you get to the developing brain. And I don't know, but I'm sure that all you women can relate to this. The male brain does not finish developing until the age of 25.
Yeah.
The female brain is done at around 18. Well, that's why, 22-year-old, 23-year-old boys are so stupid, because their brain's not done cooking yet. You're not going to disagree with me, are you?
I'm not.
Of course not. Oh.
But full disclosure, there are some things I could have done better at that
gosh,
age as
yes.
well.
Oh, gosh,
so I'm
yes.
just, it's not
That's
just a
right.
boy-girl thing. It's a if you're under the age of 25 thing, like, you're just not all there yet.
That's right.
And that's okay.
That's true.
It's
I
fine.
probably think mine stopped around 35 and just gave up.
So I don't know if you saw that video online. It was super viral where I think there's an experiment in Europe where they put something growing, next to a Wi-Fi router, and then the stuff next to the Wi-Fi, it didn't grow.
It's
It
scary.
did not grow.
Well, more than that, you see some videos where plants, very healthy plants, are put next to a router and are dead within 3 days.
That's telling.
It's very telling.
Yeah.
And, they also say, all of the sleep specialists, that the worst thing that you can have in your house or in your bedroom is to have your phone really close
Right
to
next
your
to your bed.
head. And my phone at my house is about a foot away from my head as I sleep, and that's why I'm, getting the way I am, getting worse and worse every day.
Well, again, not a scientist, not a doctor, just a mother who's growing up in this digital age. And I know I personally suffer more and more from ADD-like symptoms because of smartphones and notifications, perhaps the electromagnetic waves that are coming off of this thing. Like, I don't know yet, but I'm
Right.
thankful for people like you who are digging into it and giving us a solution. So that's byebywifi.com.
Right.
We can go to that website, buy the paint in a few months, sooner hopefully than
Yes.
later. But you'll have links to the studies too. So just
Oh
because
yeah,
you want
all of the stuff
yeah,
will be there, yes.
because marketing,
That's right.
right? you need to validate your claims.
That's right.
And so let's talk about your marketing book.
All right, so I published my first book about 6 or 7 years ago with a big brand name, famous publisher, and I was all excited for the media tour,
Yeah.
going to the bookstores and all of that. And none of that happened, and I was devastated that all of the things that you hear about
Right.
just aren't true. I was excited to quote unquote meet my publisher, and I thought we were going to become best friends and stuff. You see
Yeah.
that in the movies all the time.
Right.
And my publisher gave me a minute and a half of her time. I flew to New York to meet her and had a whole minute and a half with her. And I was blown away by how little the publishing world does to help actually sell the books. Today it's 100% contingent on the author's efforts.
Wow.
So I went out and started doing radio interviews and trying to get out there to promote my first book, which ended up going to number 9 on Amazon, not in its category, but on all of Amazon. So it was a very good seller. But the reason it sold so well is because I got on 200 radio stations in that first year to promote the book, to
Right.
talk about the book. And I learned that it's actually pretty easy to get on shows. I was actually on CNN, I was on, talk shows in India, and the Wall Street Journal's talk show, and Bloomberg, and all sorts of things, all things that I booked for myself. And so people started asking me, how did I sell the book so well? How did it become a bestseller? And I was like, well, it's all about the marketing that you do. You know, we call it a bestseller, not a best written. You know, it's gotten a lot to do with the effort of selling the book, not writing the book.
That's a nugget.
The book might not be very good, but you might sell a lot of copies because you're good at marketing. So my second book now teaches people how to get on radio interviews for free to promote your product. So think about it. If you go on and do a radio interview, instead of running a 60-second commercial, right, you get 10 minutes.
Organic airtime.
Plus, it's natural airtime. You are perceived as an expert. Why would the radio show have you on? Because you're an expert.
Right.
Does this radio show have jerks on? No, of course not. They only have experts on.
Smart people.
And so you are perceived as a thought leader in whatever space you were talking about. And it's free, so you get more time for free with better perception by the audience. The natural thing to do is to try to get on the radio.
Yeah.
So I think that in the first year, my 200 spots were probably worth about $1 million of paid advertising that I was able to get totally for free. And so the new book talks about that and how anyone can do that by themselves. It's a very, very easy process. You know, I have a radio show and I'm constantly looking for guests. The biggest thing that the producer does is find
filling that content.
Exactly. I have to have 20 guests a week.
Wow.
And so we're always looking for guests. And if you come to me and say, here's what I want to talk about, here's my background, and maybe even here's the questions you should ask me, well, I'm going to have you on the show just because it's no work for me. I don't care what you're promoting. I just don't want to do the work of having to go out and find you. So it's a great way to go out there and get millions of dollars of free publicity for your book. On average, I spend about 4 hours a weekend sitting in front of the computer doing simple Google searches for San Antonio radio show or business radio show or something like that. You find out who the producer or the host is, you send them a very nice detailed email, and hopefully you can get on the show that way. I've done hundreds of radio interviews that way and saved millions of dollars and promoted some really great selling products because of it.
That's awesome. I'm really glad that you are documenting that knowledge and then sharing it with people, because you're right. You know, it's not that hard if you have those key ingredients.
That's right.
So what's the name of your second book?
It's called Free Radio and Podcast Marketing in 30 Minutes. So it's designed to be read in 30 minutes. So it's not a biggie. So you know the Dummies series?
Yes.
Those are like 300 pages. This series in 30 minutes is for people who the Dummies series is too complicated. So if the Dummies is too complicated, you read the In 30 Minutes series. There's 25 books in the series.
Wow.
And this is the latest one, all on free marketing.
Great.
So free radio and podcast marketing. And we consider radio and podcasting the same thing.
Right.
There's no difference
Yeah,
anymore.
there's so much overlap
Right.
now. So if people want to see, if people want to get that book or the other ones in the series, where do they go?
There's a website called in30minutes.com, but also just go to Amazon.
Amazon and search for the title.
Right.
We'll find it and put the link below for you as well, so that you not only can look up, buybywifi.com, also Jim's book, which I can't wait to read.
It'll take you 29 minutes.
It's in 29 minutes. Awesome. I like that. I like that time frame. Now we are going to talk about Pakistani furniture, which is something I didn't wake up this morning and think I'm going to talk about today.
That's not right on the forefront of your mind?
No.
Why not? It's a hot topic. Everyone's trending on it right now.
Yeah. So why are we talking about this?
So I used to be a professor at our big downtown university. I don't know if we're allowed to name it or not.
Yeah, Georgia State University.
Yeah, Georgia State. So great.
They just got an award for second most innovative university in the nation.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not hear that.
Last week from, I think, U.S. and World Report.
Okay.
It's great. So congrats.
Yeah.
So yes, we can mention it.
All right. So it's a great university, especially their night program. And I had just sold a business with 700 employees, and so I thought that I was on top of my game. And they hired me to teach entrepreneurship. And so I was in there the very first day saying, this entrepreneurship stuff can be pretty easy. And my class, who was mostly MBA students who were there at night after their 9-to-5 jobs. So these are hardworking, dedicated students. They're like, no, Jim, it's pretty hard. And I was like, no, it's pretty easy. And they were like, no, Jim, it's pretty hard. We've seen documentaries. And I would say, no, it's pretty easy because I'm a moron and I just sold a big business that anyone can do this. And so I ended up making a bet with my class. I backed myself into a bet that I could start a business that semester, make it cash flow positive that semester, repay all of my startup capital that semester. And they got to choose the country and the industry that I would start the business in.
Wow.
So they thought they would be cute and funny if they would throw me a curveball. So they said Pakistan. So I had to start a Pakistani company. And the week before that, I had just done a lecture on how the furniture industry is the worst industry in the world. It's a 2% margin industry in a good day.
Oh, man.
And so they put those two together and said Pakistani furniture. So I had 3 months to come up with a profitable Pakistani furniture company. And this is actually what my first book was about. Someone from Bloomberg heard this story and I made a bet with them that we could find a publisher and get that book published. And so the first book, School for Startups, tells the story of that semester and then 12 subsequent semesters, actually 11 subsequent semesters where I made the same bet, and every semester a different country, different business. But I won the bet. I was able to come up with a really great product, and hopefully we can show some of them on screen right now.
Absolutely. It's going now as we're talking.
We'll send you some pictures of some of the beautiful chairs. But what we did was really simple. We went into Pakistani flea markets, and we would buy 100-year-old Persian rugs that here we would call Oriental rugs that would sell for $10,000.
Right.
There we could buy them for $200, $300. We would take them into the factory, cut them up, and use that 100-year-old rug as the fabric for a brand new, normal American chair. So, you know, a Martha Washington chair or a George Washington armchair with a high leather back, you know, that type of chair.
So smart.
Anything that you would see next to a distressed leather sofa at a ski lodge, next to the dry stack stone fireplace.
Yep.
So these are beautiful, handmade pieces of furniture with 100-year-old fabric that's been worn for 100 years, so it's already soft and just buttery to the touch. But it's a unique work of art. That's a 100-year-old rug that can never be replicated. So each chair was a unique work of art. The bet part of it, the cool part was I could get that produced in Pakistan for about $400. And here in the United States, they sold for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 because each one was so unique, so interesting, and so absolutely beautiful. And we had low chairs, high chairs, you know, chair and
Ottomans.
a half, the sleeper sofas, absolutely everything. And then we would take the remnants and turn it into cushions or weekend bags. Have you ever seen like those big weekend bags that made out of, we sold those. It was an amazing company, all done within 3 months. And it led me to my huge realization. May I share my realizations about entrepreneurship in life?
Of course
not. Or are we out of time?
Yes,
well, thanks
please.
for having me.
No, please. Well, and before you do that, as you were talking about this project, I had to remind myself to shut my mouth. Like my jaw kept dropping, and I was like, Tanya, close your mouth. Tanya, close your mouth. Like, that's amazing.
They have straps for that now.
Well, okay, let's order one. Okay.
Well, thank you for that. Thank
What's
you.
the revelation?
So 3 things. One is that entrepreneurship is not about creativity. So everyone's sitting, I have to have my new idea. As a matter of fact, before we started recording, one of the people here in the studio was saying, I need my idea, and you said you're going to get your idea one day. Well, 93% of businesses are copies of existing businesses. So there's no reason to go have a new idea. Just go find someone else's idea and steal it.
Make it
copy
better.
it and
Make it better.
do it a little bit better. Exactly. So I've eliminated creativity from the whole discussion. No longer is the excuse, well, I'm waiting for my big idea. When God throws me that creativity lightning bolt, boy, am I going to jump on that and create the coolest business ever. But no, we no longer have that excuse. Number 2 excuse. Risk has got nothing to do with entrepreneurship. We always say entrepreneurs are the risk takers who do creative things, whatever. Entrepreneurs do everything they can to reduce risk. So I use your money to start my business. I go out there and pre-sell it. I had sold half of the chairs before they arrived in the United States. How much was my risk then? 0. I had 0 risk. And you talk to a serial entrepreneur, someone who does this again and again and again, you'll find that always, invariably, they do everything they can to reduce the risk so that the decision whether to start the business or not is a no-brainer. They're not going to be the bungee jumping, parachuting guy who's going to say, well, I'll take $5 million and I'll throw it at the wall and see what sticks. Entrepreneurs take $5,000 and see if they can generate some momentum. And so the rule that we've developed is never start a business with more than you would spend on a week vacation at Disney. That's sort of our standard. Which leads us to our third significant observation. Passion is also irrelevant. Everyone says, oh, you've got to love what you do. You're not going to get up at 6 in the morning if you're not passionate about your product. Well, passion for a product, to me, is called materialism. You know, I used to sell purses and leather jackets for a living. One of the companies that I started from another class bet out of Argentina and Brazil. I sold a lot of purses. I will promise you that I do not personally like purses. I'm not a clothing
You're not passionate about
I could
purses.
care less. I could care less. I'll tell you what I am passionate about. I get to drive 4 carpools every day. When my kid comes home at 2 o'clock from school, I'm there. We swim in the afternoon. I take him to soccer practice. I take my daughter to ballet. I'm there. I have the most relaxed lifestyle of anyone I know because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm passionate about the freedom, the chance to wear blue jeans and a t-shirt, the fact that my office is downstairs right below my bedroom, so my commute every day is a minute long. Think about that. You commute for an hour each way. You're losing 2 hours a day where I'm productive for 2 hours a day. I love that I do whatever I want and I don't report to the man. I don't report to anybody. And so my lifestyle is what I'm passionate about, not the stuff that I sell. So when you take these 3 observations, that you don't have to be creative, that risk is not something that we're going to do, and you can be passionate just about the process, not necessarily the product, well, that changes entrepreneurship 100%. Now, anyone can be an entrepreneur because we've removed the 3 barriers to entry. No longer are we going to wait around on creativity. You're going to read Inc. magazine, copy what someone in Seattle is doing, do it here in Atlanta. You're not going to spend a bunch of money. You don't need to save millions of dollars. Save $5,000 and get started. And we're going to reserve passion for the church, synagogue, mosque, and the bedroom and say, you know, nothing wrong with that. This is an adult show, right? We're going to have, our passion is going to be the fact that I have the coolest lifestyle of anybody I know. I get to go to lunch whenever I want, whatever I want. I get to wear what I want, do what I want, be with who I want, report to who I want. And if I want to make more money, here's the coolest thing. If I want to make more money, what do? I work more. You know, I don't have to go ask for a raise. I don't have to go ask for a new job. I just work more. And that's what I'm passionate about. So when we take those 3 things, those 3 lessons and say, well, you told me you wanted to be an entrepreneur, what's your excuse now? Well, I've just eliminated all of your excuses. So now the only thing for you to do is get off the sofa, put the pizza down, put the remote down, and go find something to copy and go start a business. And as you said, this is the most important thing. Do it better than anyone else has ever done it. So that's the trick.
Jim Beach, you are fascinating.
Well, thank you so much.
Where can people go to follow you?
JimBeach.com. Super simple.
That's a great URL. I mean, it's like...
Super simple.
Yeah, that's great. All right, we'll have that below as well. Yeah, I'm just so glad that we got to meet today. And
likewise.
Please stay in touch.
Thanks
Again,
for
like
having
you
me.
really are, like that's just, I mean, right? It's crazy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And keep rocking it.
We'll try. Thanks a lot.